Okay, so good afternoon mga katoma. Welcome to Toma Session. So again, this is Richie, your host. There's a lot of things that has been going on the past almost 2 years, since March 2020. And of course, things are getting back to normal, but it's not yet finished, and there's still plenty of things going on around the world in terms of this pandemic. So, of course, before we start again, guys, keep safe, practice social distancing, and of course, wear that mask if you can. So, but that doesn't mean that Thomas Sessions will stop, interviewing our friends from the industry so that we can learn what's going on. And of course, for this particular segment, I am happy because, you know, uh, this at this time of the pandemic, one of the things that I did or has led me to this interview is I kind of did research with our local spirits. And amazingly enough, or interestingly enough, as I mentioned to our guest, during the early times of the pandemic, he had a YouTube channel, or he still has a YouTube channel, and then he posted something about their indigenous spirits or their local spirits. And I was surprised because the way it was spelled, it's the same way that it's spelled here in the Philippines. And for this episode, we want to know, or want to know also about it, and see how somewhat, since we're all from Southeast Asia or from one region, there's a possibility that we are connected when it comes also to our indigenous spirits. So, without further ado, guys, I would like to introduce to you. Of course, I will let him do a short introduction about himself. But ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Osmund Bernard. Okay, so hello, hello,
Hello.
hi, Osmund. Thank you again. So yeah, so let's get to it. So can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Hi guys. My name is Osman. Maybe some of you know. Let's say some of you is the bartenders around Southeast Asia. Maybe some of you know who am I. I've been bartending for more than a decade. I've been studying as a club bartender, fly bartenders, and then now currently I'm doing my own consultancy jobs and also doing some events. At the same time, I work full-time job in a restaurants as a bar manager. For some of you might saw me in a world-class competitions in 2015 and 16. I actually the winner champions of Malaysia World Class Bartender. That's about it. That's all of me.
All right. So actually, see, guys, no, this is interesting because we share something in common. Because 2015 and 16 also, I was the winner for another competition. So it's like the counterpart of Diageo. So we're batchmates, no? Wow. See, so every interview really of Thomas Sessions, you get to learn something about your guest that would connect to you. Okay, so Osmond. So yes, Osmond is actually a very no one of the OGs no of bartending in Southeast Asia. In fact, one trivia, guys. We met in Singapore. We did the guest shift for Jeremy in
Yeah,
his bar. Jeremy Tan. For those who don't know, he has a bar. What's the name of his bar again? With the wall, right? So he has a bar
the
in
wall,
Singapore.
the wall
The wall.
Singapore.
There. So he has a bar there, and then we did the guest shift for the Singapore Cocktail Festival. Okay, so Osmond, yeah, let's get to it. So what are the top indigenous spirits in your country, Borneo? Because as I asked around also, no, so technically you are from Borneo, which is
Yes.
how far from where you are now, from Kuala Lumpur, if I'm not mistaken.
It's about 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours actually. But again, like my hometown is actually quite nearby with Philippines. So let's say Palawan or Tawi-Tawi, it takes only by boat 10 minutes. It's not that far actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So there's the link that I was talking about earlier. Okay, so let's
Mm.
dive into it. So what are the indigenous spirits in your hometown in Borneo?
Quite a lot actually. What is recorded and what I have been discovered is seven total. Uh, Quite a lot actually. But there is a mother of the fermentation, the rice wine itself. We call it tapai. Yeah. So that is the mother and the oldest version of rice wine.
Okay. So the Tapai, okay, is the Tapai spelled Tapuy?
Tapai.
Ah, Tapai. Okay. Is that the
Yeah.
same as the Tapuy?
Tapui is considered the ones similar in Borneo is called lihing.
Lihing.
Yeah.
L-I-H-I-N-G.
Yeah, Lihing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, tapui I saw in Philippines, right? You
Mm.
actually get the extract water after fermentation, correct?
Yes.
That's similar. That's similar. We don't add any water. We don't put any sugar in it. So it's just rice and yeast. After that, it's the steam rice, right?
Ah. Okay, so guys,
Yeah.
please follow the spelling and the terminologies because even I get confused. That's why when I view this, I really going to take notes. Okay, so if you say rice wine, okay,
Yep.
the Tapai. So does that mean the process stops only from fermentation?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Correct. So basically, tapai is similar as the Chinese wine,
mhm.
which is we do dry fermentations. We don't do adding water and sugar. Yeah.
Okay,
But
so guys,
some part in Borneo, which is the southern part, we have another version of it. But that one is the new version of rice wine besides tapai.
okay. So,
Mm.
would you have any recollection or have you researched who brought in or who started the Tapai in
Yeah.
Borneo? Who taught you?
So basically, tapai, right? Whatever recorded, and also the culture of how we drink them, and also how do we get the technologies from, right? Because let's say Borneo is they have their own indigenous native peoples where they've been staying in Borneo Islands for 70,000 years. It's ever recorded the oldest skull we found it, the oldest fossils, human fossils ever recorded is 35,000 years ago, which is that the indigenous, my ancestors. So the tapai itself, we actually last time we don't have that, to be honest with you. It's just because of there is a migrations of the Austronesian, whichever come from, whether from the Philippines, from Taiwan, or from Vietnam, or southern China. So they bring that technology to the Borneo. So they to get married and then they mix up with the culture over there. And then that's how Tapaibon is.
Okay, so it's possible really since like
Yeah.
Palawan and the other regions down south. So there was like exchange of maybe there's a trade and then in between
Yeah,
trades,
correct.
you know,
And also you have to remember that during 70 to 50 years ago, the whatever the land Southeast currently is actually one land, correct? We are actually one land. They
yes,
call it the Sundal.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so we,
yes.
we we don't get separated from the sea last time.
Yeah, no, in fact, the
Yeah.
Borneo is much well, I remember when I was young, Borneo is fought over no different our neighbors, right? Because
Yes.
apparently it's very rich in maybe oil, or maybe
Very
natural
rich.
resources. So
Yes.
that's as far as my history goes when it comes to that. Okay, so going back to Tapai, what's the distilled the distilled format of Tapai? if there is?
Okay, so let me go through the how to say the section by sections first. So the mother of the rice wine of Borneo is Tapai, right? So after Tapai, we have another a version of it, which is they already improve it. They call it in the northern part, which is my hometown Sabah, is lihing. So lihing is fermented rice together with yeast, of course, and then we don't add water and sugar. That's how we getting lihing. And then on the southern part, we have another version. It's called tuak. So tuak is added sugar and water during the fermentation. Yeah, and then after that, lihing, when you distill it, it becomes talak. And then for tuak, if you distill it, it becomes langkau. So it's two different category.
Okay, okay. But okay, if it's two different category,
Hmm.
what differentiates it if it's both from rice?
The flavor, to be honest. Because
Oh,
let's say, right, we don't added sugar, we don't added water, so it's like 100% extract of rice flavor.
I see. Also, okay.
Yeah,
So, which leads me to this next question: is there a specific rice that's local to Borneo that you use for this?
we
What's the
don't
name?
have. So basically, it's just whatever daily rice we eat. That's what how we do it.
I see. Okay, so that
But
would mean
yeah, on the northern part, which is on Sabah, we use brown rice instead of white rice. Yeah, some part they use glutinous rice as well.
okay. Oh wow. So the possibilities of final product is endless depending on what rice you're gonna use. Okay,
Correct.
so maybe next question is how about the yeast? What is there a specific yeast or is this just the
Yes,
yeast? Yeah, go ahead.
we have our own specific yeast. So basically, in Sabah we have plenty of yeast maker. Each maker they only supply to certain family in the village, in the region.
Okay.
So they don't simply sell it to the person. Yeah,
Okay. So are you telling me in Borneo, despite this number of what do you call this kinds of fermented rice wine that you have? So how many are there like top producers? Are there like 10 producers? Are there, top
they
3?
have few. Yeah, they have few actually. Top two, I can say, but it's not too commercials because on our government side as well, we don't have the regulations yet to produce for commercially.
Okay. Okay. So actually this is an important thing, no. Okay, let's go first to packaging.
Yeah.
Normally, where do you package these wines? Are they in bottles? Are they in PET? Or jars?
Okay. Like my hometown, we used to drink in a jar. So uh, we do ferment the rice, the tapai, for 1 month or more, and then when we going to drink it, then only we add water to dilute a bit the extract flavors from it, and also to dilute the alcohol volume. That is for my hometown, which is we drink and we serve with jar. The jar you talk about 30 liters, 50 liters. Yeah, it's quite big.
Okay.
And then
Is that the
yeah,
clear jar? Is that the clear jar? The big clear jars with the
yeah,
with
the
the
clay,
ear?
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, the clay jar, correct. Like
Mm-mm.
the Chinese what you saw, yeah, that's similar like that.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
So
And
all
then
jars. Oh, go ahead. Go
yes,
ahead.
mostly all jar. And then for commercial use, mostly they they strain it and then they only take the liquid. They sell it by bottles.
But what? Glass bottles.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so this is safe to say that in Borneo, you don't use PET for this.
No, you don't.
Okay, all right. So okay, this one is impressive because here we have actually, you know what? Let me show you. Um, let me just turn off my cam. I'm gonna get I have a tapoy here. Hold on. Where I placed it because I was doing a vlog
Mm,
last week. Anyway, this because okay, for some reason I'm not really personally I'm not in favor of putting alcohol in PET bottles.
mm,
But for some reason, uh, it's like most of the people that produce it uh, in the provinces place it there.
mm,
I'm thinking, of course, it's cheaper, and
yeah, yeah,
maybe easier to procure or to buy, right?
mm, yeah.
Um, but so, what's your take on this? Can we do that? Is it safe? This it's okay, no, because again, it's a learning experience because I think in having indigenous spirits also,
Mm,
the government has a role, no, in these
mhm,
things. Even the Food and Drug Authority, right? The Bureau of Food and
yeah,
Drug. So because like I remember you were saying a while ago, since you don't have yet that we call concrete regulations, right, in your country. But what's your take on that? What's your take on
I mean, it's a good thing as well because we, to be honest with you, for Malaysia, right? Like let's say Sabah itself, we have our own state government, which is the federals doesn't really care about it because our state government they have their own rules. So on my take on that, because we don't really want to go too commercial as well, because once it go too commercial, then all the taxes is starting to charge you everything. Then
okay.
a lot of job have to do, especially on the manufacturing rules and regulations. I saw one actually, one of the factory doing over that here, but I don't know how they do it with a big volume.
Okay, okay. So some yeah, okay. All right, I get you. But okay, if but how is that? If you say that of course the taxes will go up, right? But isn't also that a good thing if you are recognized already by the government, you can go globally as a
Yeah, it's a good thing, but the thing is, the government doesn't really go deeper into it, like how the Japanese do for sake, correct? You know,
okay.
the Japanese has come out very brilliant, rules and regulations, you know. But in Malaysia, it seems like the government doesn't really care about all this.
So
So
is it
yeah,
religion based? Do you think there's something to do since it's a Muslim country like alcohol? So we don't.
yeah, it's quite interesting. Muslim country is only tied up in Malaysia Peninsula area, which is in Borneo. We have our own government as well. Yeah,
Uh,
so yeah,
uh,
just to be honest with you, because uh, Malaysia formed to be three country, correct? So
mhm.
we have Sabah, Sarawak, and the Malaya.
Yes.
Yeah, so Sabah is actually we have our own government to control the rules and regulations. So we don't really tied up with Muslim country. So let's say if the government want to do all this, for sure there is a good opportunity and also a bright future. Yeah.
Okay. So but okay, so with this, let's go back to the wine itself, no, or the spirit the liquor itself. Um how would you know if it's like a backyard or a moonshine production, right?
Yep.
How would you know that there's no methanol excess, or like it's safe to drink at some point?
To drink. Yeah, that's why that is the dangerous part for now actually, which is a lot of people doing that and they don't really care on the safety, especially the how to consume it. Yeah, I don't really drink too much of it, and also I don't really recommend people to consume it more than those drinks.
Uh, okay, so has there been cases? I mean, we don't have to be exact because before we did have a scandal on this methanol poisoning because of
Yeah, that's correct.
unfortunately, unsafe practices. And but this is
Mm.
something, I think this is something that shouldn't be hidden, and should be also looked into because apparently
Yes, that's correct.
even if it's in the newspaper, it doesn't mean that it will stop right away, right? And of course,
Yeah.
sometimes you just let the scandal die down, and then we do it again. Correct. So, so how about in your country? Are there some incidents also? Of course, I wouldn't know because I don't have insight on your local scene. But are there also incidents of methanol poisoning with regards?
Yes, there's a lot of incidents actually where they use the oil drum, the stainless steel oil drum, which is it's poisonous. You can't do fermentation and you can't do distilling by using all these drums. And some of them they do their own stainless steel distilled, which is never been checked, never been properly done. Yeah, it's not like the Scottish they use distill as copper pot.
Yes, yes,
We in
yes.
Borneo we don't do that.
We have.
But the oldest way of distilling in my place is we use clay jar. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. All
that is
right.
the traditional one.
So, okay, maybe. Well, with that being said, how about uh, cocktail? You know, you
Mm-hmm.
did present some cocktails, right?
Yep.
In your channel, but before you did this video, before, are there like to grow this wine? No, to grow this wine, were there like, was there anybody leading the pack, like, okay, we can make this into a cocktail, or maybe let's just put an infused raisins just like what we have here for lambanog, right? Is there such
Mm.
a thing also in
No, there is not.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your initiative already, the cocktail. So
Yeah.
you,
Yes.
okay, all right, great. So but okay, so have you tried, since it's fermentation only, so have you tried brewing your own or making your own tapay?
Oh, you mean my own tapai ferment? You mean to sell?
Or you, yeah, or maybe make your own at home, and since you're 2 hours away, right? So
Oh,
have you?
yeah, yeah. My family is actually selling tapai. Uh, I grew up with selling tapai actually, to be honest with you.
Ah, nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So yeah,
Okay.
my mother is a tapai maker. So since my childhood times, I always help her to do all these fermentations.
Okay, so
Um,
you know the sweet spot. So you know the sweet spot. So I mean, like, if you're the maker, if your family makes it, so okay, just
mm,
so to avoid this, what do you think is the safe or the sweet spot to avoid methanol poisoning for tapay?
uh, for fermentations, we don't have problem with that because we ferment in the clay jar. Yeah, on the southern part of Borneo, that's a bit dangerous because some of the greedy people they ferment it in a bottles of plastic bottles, plastic
Okay.
jar, which is we don't. It's not supposed to ferment in the plastics, you know, vessels.
Yep.
But in my hometowns, mostly we do with clay jar. We don't do any plastics.
Okay. All right, guys.
Mm.
So I hope you are learning a lot here. No, I am certainly learning, and in fact, yeah, it's quite impressive because okay, so with the next question, well, what do you
Mm.
think is the future for Tapai?
Uh, Currently, we have a bright future because it's our culture. Everyone is drinking tapai in Sabah. It's just because of pandemic. Uh, because to drink tapai, you have to use a bamboo straw. It's very long bamboo straw to penetrate the the rice inside of it, and then to suck it up the alcohol. We use only one type of straw, and then when you drink it, you actually share with amongst all your friends. So during pandemic, we have to not to drink it that way. So we have to strain it, bottle it, then only can drink.
Yes, yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Another one. So we're talking about rice as your raw material, right? So do you have any liquor that makes use of coconut?
Yes, but we don't really commercialize it because it's not part of our culture in
Okay.
Sabah. But there is in southern part Sarawak. side and Kalimantan, they use a lot. They call it ijok. So that
Ijo.
is from the palm tree and from the coconut. So
Okay.
basically, it's a coconut sap wine, and then when they distill it, they call it ijok.
Okay, so I think that's our lambanog version, no, in the Philippines. So
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
saw it in Indonesia as well. They call it Bali Arak.
Okay, so yeah, yeah. Okay, so that term arak, I guess, is the term for anything that is distilled from coconut, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
Yeah,
no.
arak.
Arak is a Malay word, actually
That
refer
means
to any distilled spirit.
okay. So any distilled spirit is arak. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, guys, if there are any students listening, so you know these terminologies. This is
Mm.
something that, of course, back to our roots being Southeast Asia. So there are terminologies that we're not aware of, and now you are discovering it. Okay, so I guess I've learned a lot with regards to the spirits, no, or the wine, the tapui, the tapai, okay, and I well I'm hoping soon I can taste that or buy. Okay, is there a way to buy it, to have it shipped here?
We just buy friends, but we can't really ship it overseas. Yeah, I
Okay.
tried to ship it to Singapore before, but doesn't go through.
Oh my God. Okay, okay. Well, anyway, I hope when there's a chance that I go to Malaysia, I'll make that happen. I'm quite intrigued by the taste of it. Okay, so maybe at the last for the last segment of our interview, tell us about the KL bartending scene, because it's quite interesting
Yeah.
because of the well, of course, religion wise, right? I mean, uh it's dominantly Muslim, and
Mhm.
I've been reading also facts. There's quite it's like a interesting, funny, like, how does that work in KL? Can you tell something about
Yeah.
the bar scene? Yeah.
So basically, even we are Muslim country, but we are not really 100% apply Muslim rules and regulations in our country because again we are multicultural country. So yeah, we don't really care actually.
Okay, but the tax are outrageously high, right? I heard.
Yeah,
You're
it's higher, but similar, actually similar with Thailand. The taxes.
Okay, okay, okay. So how is the scene now? I mean, okay, okay, let's talk pre-COVID, no? So, or let's talk yeah, let's talk pre-COVID. So technically, no, before March 2020, right? You personally as Osmond Bernard,
Yeah.
what were some things that was put to a halt, because of March 2020? Like, were there some guest shifts going on, supposed to be? Were there some trips? Were there some big events? Just going back in time.
Yep, I actually has a lot of work to do, uh, a lot of events, a lot of travels that I plan to do. But unfortunately, because of COVID, I've been through a lot of struggle as well for the past 2 years.
Okay.
But yeah, luckily I survived. Yeah.
Yes, of course. So, okay, what was your in these times of trial for everybody, what was
Mhm.
what or who was your main well, what kept you going? What kept you going during those times?
Um, my mentor, because I have few mentors which is still working in this industry, which is they can survive. If they can survive, why I cannot survive? There are certain points that there are some points I almost reached my limit, which is, oh, I want to quit this industry already because of this COVID. I don't know where it's gonna end and what's gonna happen to me. Uh, yeah, but luckily, I really blessed that after a few months, I get the job back. I got few events back, which is good. Until now, it's still recovering the industry in KL. But it's really booming after the recovery. I can talk about, all the restaurant is open up again. Mostly the bar scenes in KL is blooming again. To be honest, um, we move forward the cultures of dine and drinking currently.
Okay. So what's the status of is there a thing as to go cocktails or cocktail delivery there in KL? Like home
Yes,
delivery?
we have a lot, but uh, it's not really that good if you compare with Singapore. I think because of the rules of the government, how they're setting up, and also how the logistics department, the delivery, all this, it's a bit hard for us to sell cocktails because you got another extra charge of couple of bucks just for delivery,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it doesn't make sense at all. You know?
Okay. But you have Grab.
So
You have Grab
yeah,
also.
we do have Grab,
Okay.
but very very expensive on the charges.
I see. Okay, okay.
So yeah,
So
like
that's why
us,
people sorry, so that's why people rather buy in convenience stores or drink in their home than order before.
yeah, yeah, correct, correct.
See.
So
Okay, so
now, yeah,
go ahead,
the
go ahead.
industry is going back to normal, which is we learn a lessons that if you want to open a bar, you better get your restaurant license as well. So at least you can survive.
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, even here in the Philippines, a lot of bars had to shift, had to register,
Mhm.
as a restaurant, because that's the first priority during that hard stretch of
Yeah,
the pandemic. Now, but okay, I'm curious. So you're saying KL, right, is booming, okay? But what about how many cities are there? I mean, okay, I don't need to know all. We don't need to know all, but these business districts in Malaysia, how many are really famous for tourists or the bar scene? And is KL the most famous in all those?
yeah. So basically, for cocktail industry, mostly in KL and also Penang, which is
Penang.
on the northern part of Malay. Uh, there is a couple of small hometown is booming up currently. They're still in recovering, and also some cocktail bar have been opened up, small town. Um, but KL is the center of cocktail culture, to be honest,
I see.
especially the bar
Okay.
scenes.
All right. Okay. So that's guys again for those who are listening. This is for those who haven't been to Malaysia. Actually, I've been to Malaysia, but only at the airport.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because well, from the airport to downtown, it's quite a long ride, right?
It's about 45 minutes.
Yeah, and normally, if I remember twice I went there, and my stopover it's almost 2 in the morning. So it's or maybe 1 in the morning, and it's well, of course, I haven't been, but hopefully I can schedule a trip there and visit. Okay, so when it comes to maybe my final question would be, can you tell us what are the uh, okay? So if there are bars and hotel properties. I'm pretty sure that has closed down, right, during the pandemic. But
Yep,
now, since it's growing, so
yep.
how aggressive are the businessmen in putting up new businesses in KL?
Okay. In KL, the investors is very aggressive. To be honest, even my company itself, we only has two outlets before the pandemic. But during pandemic, we opened another four restaurants, which is crazy because just for the sake of to survive in the industry, they said look at the bright future.
Yes.
Maybe the bar industry doesn't really goes well for this 2 years, but why not? We farm a little bit of money just to survive. We open more restaurants, just sustain the business
Yeah.
and also sustain the brand. And then for hotels, it's really bad during pandemic. A lot of hotels doing retrench stuff until management level as well. And then currently during this recovery, uh, most of the hotels is short of staff, and most of the restaurant in KL is fully occupied by customers, but we don't have staff to work. Yeah, so
Okay.
basically KL we short of a lot of staff.
Okay. All right. So I guess it's yeah, almost the same everywhere, but at least I'm happy with with that perspective of your owners, for being aggressive on the food business
Yep,
for
yep.
now, while you're still picking up. At the end of the day, it's there's like what we call the economy of scales. Eventually everything will really get back to the way,
Yep,
well, not the way it was, but at least we will have normal jobs again. We're back to our jobs, and people are drinking here. Actually, it's quite crazy the past couple of days. It's like there's no COVID, as I go
similar.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's well, of course, there's still this scare, but I mean, it's good that people are up and running. Okay, so okay, one more last question. I'd like to talk about you, Osmond. So any advice that you can give to the bartenders and those who are fan of cocktails, that are home bartenders? So how do you approach making a cocktail?
Educational is very important to you. Even though I started as a bartender, I don't go to school, I don't go to University of FNB. I started bartending as a club bartender. I do play bartending. But what kept me going is I educate myself and I join a lot of seminar. I buy a lot of books to just to learn, and also, of course, create your patience. Eventually, your patience will pay your bill.
Okay. So, but do you have like a signature? Do you have like a signature touch, or a identifying mark that this is Osmond's cocktail or
Oh,
something like that?
yeah. My style of bartending mostly infuse a lot with Japanese and American. So basically, I do a lot of Japanese technique with the speed of American speed.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay, guys,
I
that's
work in high volume cocktails before. So even though my body movement, how do I work? I still apply as Japanese style and principles. But again, I have to work fast as American.
all
Yeah,
right. Okay, nice.
yeah.
So, guys, so I hope you're learning a lot from our guest Osmond. Okay, so maybe one last question. So, what to you is a good cocktail? What to you is a great cocktail? What makes a cocktail great for you?
Uh, Balance, and also how do you tell the story of your cocktails? So basically, it's not just to sell your cocktails, but again, if you don't know how to make it balance and also apply the story behind it, there's no point to for me to buy your cocktails.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, great, great. This was a very great very very great interview with you, Osmond. Okay, so with that, would you like to invite our viewers to whatever's going on there in KL and your project, your restaurants and bars? Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If you ever met me, if you ever come and see me in KL, I got a couple of big company approaching me, or if you want to work with me, come over and find me, or just want to have a drink with me, come to my bar. I'm at Willow W Hotel Kuala Lumpur.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Osmond. So with that, guys, I hope you learned a lot from our guest. And as we always say in Thomas Sessions, be inspired, be informed, and be involved. See you on the next episode. Toma na.